Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this tutorial series, we are designing a portfolio website from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So this is what we're going to design. Now this is our progress as of now. We have designed the nav bar and also this left and this right sections over here in the hero section. Now in this video, we're going to add these dots over here, and we'll also add this down arrow over here, and we'll also add the functionality for this menu icon. So when we click on this menu icon, we need to display these menu items over here, and when we click on this close button, the menu should disappear. So this is what we're going to do in this video. Let's get started. Now first of all, we will style the dots. So here you can see we have these dots over here, and when we hover over these dots, we have the section names displayed over here. And if I click on any of these dots, for example, if I click on testimonials, we are taken to the testimonials section. So let's style these dots first. Let's go to our CSS. Let's scroll down and let's go to the index.html file, and if we scroll up, we can see that we have created this division with the class of dots, and in that we have these anchor tags with classes dot, and for the active dot we have a class of active. So first of all, let's style this dots division. So here I'll just type dots, and we'll set the position to fixed so that it will always stay in the same position even if we scroll down, and we'll set the top position to 50%. Now when we set the top position to 50%, it will start from the 50% mark, so we have to move it 50% of itself to the top. So we have to type transform translate y and set it to negative 50%. Alright, now let's style the dot inside this dots division. So here I'll just type dots dot, and we'll set the height of the dot to 10 pixels and the width to 10 pixels. Now we want it to have a round shape, so we have to set the border radius to 50%, and we'll also add a background color. Now if we go back to our original design, we can see that for the active dot we have this primary color, and for all the other dots we have a color with some opacity. So here I'll just type RGBA, and we'll set the values to 255, 116, 116, and for the opacity I'll just type 0.2. Now what we will do is we will set the display of the dots to flex. So here I'll just type display of flex, and now if we go back to our website, here we can see we have all the dots displayed over here. Now we want these dots to be displayed one below the other, so here we have to type flex direction and set it to column, and we'll also add a gap of 16 pixels, and we'll also add some left position. So here I'll just type left, and we'll just set it to 20 pixels, and that looks alright. Now let's style the active dot. So for the active dot we have a class of active. So here I'll just type dots dot active, and I will set the background color to the variable that we created called primary color. And now we can see for the active dot we have this primary color. Now the next thing we will do is when we hover over this dot, we need to have the name of the section displayed over here. So for that, let's go back to our HTML, and here we will add a data attribute. So here I'll just type data hyphen location. Now you can name this data attribute anything you want. You just have to start with data hyphen, and then you can name this anything you want. And now we need to set a value to this. So let's type equals. Now for the first dot we have a value of home, so I'll just type home over here. Now we need to access this data attribute inside our CSS. So let's go to our CSS file, and here we will access it inside an after selector. So let's type dots dot colon colon after, and here we need to add a content attribute, and here if you type, let's say 123, here we can see we have 123 displayed over here. Let's change the color and you'll be able to see it better. So here we can see we have 123 displayed over here after every dot. Now we need to display the content inside this data attribute. So for that you have to type attr for attribute, and here you have to type data hyphen location, which we have named over here in the HTML. So now let's save this and let's go back, and here we can see for the first dot we have home displayed over here. Now let's style this. Let's set the background color to a dark color, and we will have a padding of 3 pixels top and bottom and 8 pixels left and right. Now we need to position this after selector relative to this dot. So here for the dot I'll just type position relative, And now here we can type position absolute, and we'll set the top position to 50% so that it starts from the center, and we also have to move it 50% to the top so that it is exactly in the center. So I'll just type translate y negative 50%, and we'll also set the font weight to 800, and let's also set the font size to, let's try 14 pixels. And let's go back to our website, and here we can see we have the section name displayed over here. We also need to have a left position, so here I'll just set the left position to 16 pixels, and I think that looks alright. Now we need to display this only when we hover over this dot. So for that, here you have to type dot colon hover colon after. Now if you hover over this, we can see that the section name is displayed over here. Alright, now let's add the section names for all the other dots. So let's go back to our HTML. For the second dot, we'll type data hyphen location equals, and the second section is projects, so I'll just type projects over here. And for the third one, let's type data hyphen location, and the third one is services, and let's type data hyphen location. And after services, we have testimonials and skills and contact, so let's add that over here, testimonials. And here we'll just type data hyphen location skills and data hyphen location contact. Right, now let's go back to our website and let's hover over these dots, and we can see that all the sections are displayed over here. And let's click on one of these sections, and we can see that we are taken to that section over here. Now we are taken to the sections over here because we have the same ID that we provided over here. So here we can see we have set the href to hash, and for example here we have set it to projects. And if you scroll down, for the project section we have an ID of projects, so that's why it is scrolling down to that section. Alright, that's it with the styling of the dots. Now we have some more functionality for the dots. So for example, if you scroll down and if you go to the next section, we have the second dot active over here, and in the same way if you scroll down we have the next dot active over here. Now for this we need to use some JavaScript, so we will do that later. Right, now let's style the menu items. So if I click on this menu icon, we can see that we have these menu items displayed over here. So let's style this design. So let's go back to our HTML file, and here after the nav, let's create a division, and we will give it a class of nav items. And in that we need to have the close icon and also the list of all the menu items. So first of all, let's add the close icon. So I'll just create a division with the class of close icon, and in that we will have the image of the close icon. So let's type img, and in the src I'll just type images / and I have an image called close icon.svg. Right, now let's add the menu items. So for that we'll just use an unordered list, and in that we have list items, and in that we will have anchor tags. And for the first one we'll just type home, and let's copy this list item, and we'll paste it 5 more times. And for the second one let's type projects, and here in the href I'll just type hash projects. And for the third one let's type services, and here I'll just type hash services. And for the third one we have testimonials, and here I'll just type hash testimonials. And then we have skills, here also I'll just type skills. And lastly we have contact me, and here I'll just type contact. And while we are here in the HTML, let's also add the down arrow over here. So here we can see we have this down arrow, so let's add that as well. So for that let's scroll down and go inside the header. So this is the header. So here just after this division, just before the header ends, let's add the down arrow. So let's create an anchor tag, and for the down arrow we're going to set this second section, which is the project section. So when we click on this down arrow we need to go to the project section. So here I'll just type hash projects, and in the anchor tag let's add the image. So let's type img, and let's type images / and it is called down icon.svg. And let's also add a class over here for the anchor tag. Let's type down arrow so that we can style it in the CSS. Right, now let's go to our CSS file, and first of all let's style the down arrow. Right, so here I'll just type header down arrow, And let's set the position to absolute, and we'll position this relative to the header. So if you go to the header, here we have to set the position to relative, so let's tap position relative. Right now here in the down arrow, let's set the left position to 50% so that it is in the center. Now when we add a left position of 50%, it will start from the center, so we have to move it left 50%. So let's tap transform translate x negative 50%. Let's set the bottom position to 10 pixels, and we'll also set the opacity to 0.4. and let's go back to our design, and here we can see we have the down arrow, and if I click on that, we are taken to the project section. Alright, that's it with the styling of the down arrow. Now let's style these menu items. Alright, so let's go back to our source code, and let's go to the HTML file, and we will display the menu items only when we have the active class. So here for now, let's add the active class over here so that we can style it. Now when we click on the menu icon, we're going to add the active class to this nav items, and when we click on the close icon, we're going to remove the active class. For now, let's manually add the active class over here. Right, so let's go to our style.css file, and let's add a comment, navigation menu items. So we have a class name of nav items, so let's tap nav items, and by default we will set the opacity to 0 and also the pointer events to none so that nobody can click on any of the links. And when we have the active class, we will set the opacity to 1 and the pointer events to auto. So let's type nav items active and set the opacity to 1 and pointer events to auto. And here we'll also add transition of all to 400 milliseconds ease so that we have a smooth animation. Alright, now let's set the position to fixed, and we'll set the top position to 0 and the left position to 0. And we'll set the height to 100 viewport height and the width to 100%. And we'll also set a background color of black. And we also need to set a z index of a higher value, so let's type 400. And now we can see we have the menu items displayed over here. We'll also bring it to the center. So for that, let's set the display to flex, align items to the center, and justify content to the center. And now we can see everything is in the center. Right now let's position this close icon over here on the top left. So for the close icon, we have a division with the class of close. So here we can see we have this close icon. So here I'll just tap nav items, close icon, and let's set the position to fixed. Let's set the top position to 22 pixels. We need to set the width to 100%, and we'll also set the max width to 1100 pixels so that we have this menu icon and the close icon in the same position. Right now let's add a background color, and let's see how it is being styled. So here we can see we have the close icon division. Now let's style the image. So in the close icon division, we have this img tag. So here I'll just tap nav items, close icon, img, and let's set the height and the width to 22 pixels. And since we have a padding of 0.50 pixels for the wrapper, so here we can see for the wrapper we have a padding of 0.50 pixels. So we have to add the same padding over here as well so that the close icon is in the correct position. So let's type padding 0.50 pixels. Right now let's remove this background color. Let's also set the cursor to pointer when we hover over this. So here I'll just type cursor pointer. Right now let's style these menu items. So for the menu items, we have an unordered list. So let's style that. Here I'll just tap nav items, ul. And first of all, let's remove the padding that comes by default with uls. And we'll also remove the bullets by tapping list style and set it to none. And we'll also text align it to the center. Right now let's style these anchor tags. So let's go back, and here I'll just type nav items, ul-lia. And first of all, let's remove the underline. So let's tap text decoration to none, and we'll set the color of the text to white. And let's set the font size to 20 pixels and text transform to uppercase. And we'll also add some margin between these anchor tags. So let's type margin of 8 pixels top and bottom and 0 for left and right. And right now the margin is not being added because the anchor tags are inline elements by default. So we have to set it to display of inline block. Now we can see we have the margin. Now when we hover over this, we need to set the font weight to bold. So let's type nav items ULLIA:hover and font weight, let's set it to 800. Right now you can see when we hover over this, we have the font weight set to 800. Right, so that's it with the styling of the nav items. Now if you go back to our HTML and if I remove the active class from the nav items, the menu items are not displayed over here, and if we add the active class, it is being displayed over here. Now we will add and remove the active class using JavaScript, and we also need to add animation for the menu items. So if I click on this menu icon, we can see we have this animation. Now even for the animation we will use some JavaScript, so we will do that later. Now here we don't have the dots displayed, so if you scroll down we can see that the dots are displayed over here. So we need to set a z index for the dots. So let's go back to our CSS and let's go to the dots. So here for the dots I just type z index and I'll just set it to 200, and now we can see the dots are displayed over here. So everything is working alright. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below, and if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.